Dragon Ball GT is a part of the franchise that is not really well liked or appreciated by a lot of people. But one commonality that I see across the board almost is how much people love Super Saiyan 4. Not just the unique design by Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru, but also the incredible feats that Goku pulls off while in this transformation and how he even got to the form. Now, I've already done a transformation guide on Super Saiyan 4, and I definitely do recommend you watch it if you haven't seen that video yet, but that video was mostly focused on the history of the transformation and several tidbits about it. However, you would not believe how much misinformation is out there when it comes to this transformation, and specifically Goku, in terms of power scaling and how strong Super Saiyan 4 actually is. So, on this edition of the strongest in Dragon Ball, we're going to look and take a deep dive into Super Saiyan 4 and give you as much accurate information as is out there about this incredible power discovered by Goku in Dragon Ball GT. You don't have to be an old man to lose your hair. 2 out of 3 men who lose their hair start losing it before 35. So don't waste time and check out Keeps. They connect you with a specialized doctor to answer all of your questions and give you support throughout this journey. And they also provide products discreetly mailed to you to help you keep your healthy head of hair. Check it out today to see what it's all about at keeps.com/geekdom and get 50% off your first order. Don't wait, check them out, and I thank them for sponsoring this video. So I welcome you to my Super Saiyan 4 Goku power analysis video as part of the Dragon Ball Strongest Character series, the strongest in Dragon Ball, here on Geekdom 101. The purpose of this video is not only to give you the most accurate and researched information on Super Saiyan 4 Goku's power, but also to debunk a lot of myths that have been going on in the fandom for many years. Specifically one that Screw Attack spread out a few years ago, and it's quite frustrating because some of the people at Screw Attack, when they do these death battles, they claim to do research, but it seems to fall by the wayside. For example, there was a video they put out where they said that Super Saiyan 4 is 10 times stronger than Super Saiyan 3, but that was not stated anywhere in the series, talking about GT, and it was not even in the GT Perfect files, which I happen to own. And in case you don't know, the GT Perfect files are books that were released years ago that are basically guides for GT specifically, giving all kinds of extra information and behind the scenes data on the series, including stuff like this, but it's not in there. So to get a direct answer, it's a bit unquantifiable. You have to look at Goku's road from the end of Z going into Dragon Ball GT. And remember, when it comes to GT, all the research comes from the Japanese anime of Dragon Ball GT because the English dub of GT is absolutely atrocious and takes liberties with the story and Goku so much that even people who love the Z dub have trashed GT for the stuff they did there. Also, keep in mind this is not the only GT analysis power scaling video I've done. A few years ago, I did cover Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta on the channel, and it was a very well received and well loved video. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. Let's get to Goku and GT though. Keep in mind that we're going to be discussing Goku from the original 90s anime perspective, because nowadays Dragon Ball Super has added new context to Goku's powers at the end of Z with his knowledge of Ultra Instinct now and the various ways to use it. But we have to ignore that for this to make sense. We have to look at what Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT gave us back in the day, because what Dragon Ball Super added to the story does not fit with GT story. So try your best to ignore Super during this and focus only on the old stuff as it was presented to us back in the 90s. Dragon Ball GT takes place 5 years after the end of Dragon Ball Z when Goku first meets Oob. And we know that during the 10-year time skip that Super is supposed to take place in, even though it didn't in the original anime, Goku got insanely freaking strong. And during the 5 years after that, before GT, presumably he was still training with Oob and got even stronger than that. When you look at Goku's growth throughout Dragon Ball Z, we're talking about 15 years since Goku fought Kid Buu at the beginning of GT. 15 years. Remember that, because Goku in the series gains new forms and new power at a much faster rate than just 15 years. As you know, at the beginning of GT, Goku became a kid again. And there's been debate about that because it was discussed that Kid Goku in GT is a little bit weaker than when he was a fully matured adult, and his body has issues withstanding some of his power. Now, I think the biggest point that is often brought up about Goku in GT and how strong he is, maybe not the biggest, but definitely the first one that I see come up constantly, is during his fight with General Ruldo, where he states that Ruldo is more powerful than Majin Buu. Now, like I mentioned, it's been a decade and a half since Goku fought Majin Buu, and they don't specify which version, Buuhan, Kid Buu, but really it doesn't matter because prior to GT, Buu was the final boss, so to speak, of Dragon Ball Z, and what they're basically doing here is telling you that Rildo, who's not even the final boss of his own arc, of the baby arc, is more powerful than Buu, and Goku says that in his base form. So Goku still wins the fight. So that means that Goku, without even transforming into Super Saiyan 3 or 4, has gone leaps and bounds above Majin Buu, whether we're talking about Buuhan or Kid Buu. I leave that up to you. You would assume he's talking about Buuhan because Goku did fight both versions of Buu, but if Rildo is more powerful than, let's say, Buuhan, and Goku is able to handle his ass without even using Super Saiyan 3 or 4, then you have to also take into account that Baby is the final boss of this arc, and he annihilates Super Saiyan 3 Goku. To me, it's a pretty safe bet that Goku in GT could probably one-shot Buuhan, which might be a hard pill for some to swallow, but the statement against Ruldo kind of validates that. Now, when we go to Baby, and I discuss his transformations in the Baby Transformation Guide, he has a form called Super Baby 1 and Super Baby 2, but even before he even tapped into Super Baby 2, he was handling Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then when Goku transformed, well, more like mutated, from Golden Great Ape to Super Saiyan 4, Super Saiyan 4 Goku was slapping around Baby Vegeta, Super Baby 2, like a red-headed stepchild, or in this case, a white-headed stepchild. We know for a fact, unarguably, that Super Saiyan 4 Goku is more powerful than Golden Great Ape. So then Baby uses Great Ape to gain that multiplier, which could actually be in the 50,000 times range from base. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. It's up to you to figure that one out. And Super Saiyan 4 Goku, once he gets powered up and turns into full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku, which by the way, I also did a video on that one. At that point, max power Super Saiyan 4 rips through Baby and defeats him. Now, Super Baby 2 was said to be similar to Super Saiyan 3. So if we're comparing it as far as multipliers go, Super Saiyan 3 is 400 times base, which means that Baby could be at that point 400 times base in Vegeta's body, who's also been training for the past 15 years. I don't think he slacked off that much because it's not in his character to do so. So when you think about all these boosts and all these incredible power creeps, in some ways, and you may hate that I say this, but it's true, you could make an argument that Super Saiyan 4 Goku is relatively near, maybe even in the same ballpark as some of the Dragon Ball Super versions of Goku, because there's that extra time that they were able to train. And if you pay attention to the rate of growth, these guys get stronger insanely so. So on top of all that information, Super Saiyan 4, which by the way the Elder Kai states wasn't even using his max power, slaps around Super Baby 2 with that 400 times multiplier from base, and then on top of that we have the final battle, which is Golden Grade 8 baby versus Super Saiyan 4 Goku in the baby arc. Not the last fight in the series, but the last fight in that arc. And at that point, when it comes to full power Super Saiyan 4, comparing it to base, if Golden Grade 8 is 40 to 60,000, this thing might be, and again, it's up to you because it's not actually stated, this Super Saiyan 4 form might be anywhere in the ballpark of 70 to 90,000 times base. Now that might seem like an insane multiplier, but you have to remember that this is a journey that Goku went on, and Super Saiyan 4 is leaps and bounds higher than where Super Saiyan 3 was in Dragon Ball Z, and I explained exactly why in this video. Now that's if you want to highball. Lowball, I mean, again, it's up for debate. I am not a power scaler, but I do love talking about Dragon Ball in every way that I can, including this stuff, because it's interesting. And if you disagree, leave a comment, because that's cool too. You know, no big deal. Now, I want to also debunk some things. So, it was stated that when both Goku and Vegeta Baby used the Bruce waves from the full Earth to become their respective Grade 8 forms, and then, of course, Goku would later become SS4, that it had the most condensed level of Brutes waves or Blutz waves that had ever been used. But understand that just because somebody has a high amount of Blutz waves, it does not mean that they're going to get a higher multiplier. This condensed, amazing piece of, moon energy, for lack of a better term, can let you unlock forms like the Golden Grade 8 and of course later Super Saiyan 4. But ultimately, Goku's base in GT, just his base, is already above his max power in Z. So think about that for a minute, yo. And yes, I'm talking about as a kid and as an adult. Now, I want to reiterate what I said earlier about the Blutz waves and also remind you that yes, they were able to assist in regenerating the power of baby Vegeta, and because they're Saiyan cells, he may have gotten a Zenkai boost from that, but they don't actually increase your power when you get them. You just transform, and that increases your power, not the Blutz waves themselves. But enough about Baby. He's not the final boss of GT. The evil Shadow Dragons are, and I did do a video where I discussed the unbelievably insane power of Omega Shenron, also part of the Dragon Ball Strongest Characters playlist, or the Strongest in Dragon Ball playlist. And he was said to be the strongest villain in Dragon Ball history up until that point. You have to remember that when GT ended in 1997, we got nothing new until Yo Son Goku, the OVA, in 2008, and then later we got Battle of Gods in 2013. But we had a long stretch of almost 2 decades with nothing new. Now, when you analyze the Omega Shenron fight, or, Yi Xinglong as his proper name is, compared to Goku, here we have a situation where Goku is even stronger now than he was in the baby arc, and for a lot of this fight, he gets demolished, especially when the dragon swallows all the balls and is able to power himself up. Even two Super Saiyan 4s, Goku and Vegeta, could not stop this guy. Now, you have to remember everything I told you earlier in this video when it comes to comparing Goku from Z to Goku from GT, because damn, the decade and a half of training, the overcoming Super Saiyan 3 in Z, even in base with Kid Goku, the training Vegeta did as well, the powers that Goku gained against Baby step by step in different phases of the fight. All of that was put to rest by this guy. And that should tell you something. But the good news is that Goku did defeat him, and I covered this in 2 videos, which would be the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta Strongest in Dragon Ball video, and a video that everyone needs to watch, which is the ending of Dragon Ball GT Explained, the only video on YouTube that gets it right and tells you exactly what happened to Goku. But you have to also remember that at one point Goku is beating Yi Xinglong before he swallows the ball. So Super Saiyan 4 Goku was able to power up to at least slightly above him. I would say probably more than slightly because he does very well. But once Omega Shenron eats those balls, well, when he eats them, he goes from Sin Shenron to Omega Shenron, which is all dub only names anyways. These aren't the names in the Japanese version, but I'm trying to make it simple for everybody to understand. But remember, if you haven't seen GT in Japanese, you really have to because that script is terrible in the dub. But let me get back to the story here. So then there's no chance for Goku or Vegeta, so they have to fuse to make Gogeta, which is enough to embarrass this dragon. Obviously, and this is something everybody should know, and probably does know, if Goku did have more time to train and figure out new ways to utilize Super Saiyan 4 beyond just what we saw in GT, then there is a chance that down the road he would have gotten to be stronger than Omega Shenron, but that never materialized in the series. But based on his growth for all these years going through Dragon Ball Z and GT, it's unquestionable it would have happened. And some people think that Goku, after the 100-year time skip, when he comes back in the final episode fully grown, that at that point he's just ridiculously powerful, but we don't see him do literally anything except for walk around and at one point talk to Goku Jr. in the Goku Jr. special. So we have no clue how to quantify that power, although there's tons of theories online that you can look into. Maybe someday I'll do a video on that because it's pretty wild. I'm going to say something right now that's controversial, but I truly believe that by the end of the fight with Omega Shenron, by that point, or at least right before they made Gogeta, I do believe that that Super Saiyan 4 Goku is likely, in my opinion, either 6 or 7 figures multiplied stronger than base. What do I mean by that? I mean, we're talking about 100,000, 500,000, or maybe even a million, depending on how you low ball or high ball. You might give me shit for this in the comment section, but you have to always keep in mind not only the growth of Goku throughout the series, but also how incredibly powerful Super Saiyan 4 was when related to the previous forms. It's night and day. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. I'll talk to you soon.